Welcome to the Portland's Site-Specific Environmental Orientation. Impacts to stakeholders. There are a lot of stakeholders involved on this project, such as businesses, neighbors, and other public receptors that are in close proximity to the PLFP project, making it very important that we are all doing our best to develop good relationships across the board. The client on this project has placed a great deal of emphasis on the environmental controls for this project. So it is very important that we deliver on our commitments in our plans so that down the road these relationships continue to grow. These are some of the sensitive receptors around the project. This map displays restaurants, beaches, condos, and other public areas in the proximity to this project that have the potential to be impacted or raise complaints. There have been no exceedances in our 2 years of monitoring at these locations, although there have been some issues within the footprint of the project boundaries. Project boundaries. Looking within the project boundaries, there are businesses that continue to operate during construction activities, which makes it difficult to manage these certain activities. The 3 stars in the middle are businesses that have already complained with regards to odor and air quality. So it goes to show just how important it is that we are all following our environmental protection plans on this job site. Environmental plans breakdown. This is a breakdown of all the environmental protection plans. The high-level documents are located on the left-hand side of the chart, and as you move towards the right side of the chart, the plans become more site-specific. There are 4 plans that we will go through during this orientation into more detail, those being odor management, air quality and dust management, erosion and sediment controls, and lastly, spill prevention. Team and subcontractor responsibilities. We as a team must enforce the environmental plans just as it is everyone's responsibility to ensure the safety of workers. It is everybody's responsibility to ensure the safety of the environment as well. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are managing the impacts of our work zone within the guidance of our environmental plans. So in the event of a complaint or ministry visit, we can justify our actions. In terms of monitoring, inspections, or reporting, we rely on our subcontractors to inspect their site and report on any deficiencies that may arise, so they can become addressed proactively rather than reactively throughout a client or public complaint. Air quality and dust controls. The material that is being excavated down on the Portland site is heavily contaminated. Because of the baseline studies completed prior to the project, it was determined that Elliston would have to ensure adequate air quality monitoring. Volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs, have been found inside the soils and are known to be harmful to workers' health and safety, as well as the public health and safety. What Elliston has done is set out our exposure limits to the most stringent levels, which are set out by the Ontario government's occupational exposure limits. Benzene has the lowest exposure limit for VOCs, and also has the highest level of concern. All subcontractors completing excavation work on the Portland's job are required to do VOC monitoring. The 8-hour time weight average is 0.5 ppm. If surpassed, a half-face respirator must be worn to continue their work. If the short-term exposure limit, also known as STEL, is exceeded to 2.5 parts per million over a 15-minute period, a half-face respirator is required. If 5 ppm is exceeded, a full-face respirator must be worn. If a full-face respirator cannot be worn, the area must be evacuated until the proper controls or PPE can be put into place. If the full-face respirator is donned, this level of PPE will cover the worker until 25 ppm, which at this point the area must be evacuated and no worker shall enter the work zone. Dust management. There are 5 air monitoring stations around the job site, which give us real-time updates to how we are impacting the areas around us, and how we are managing the site when it comes to dust and air quality. If there are any concerns regarding air quality or dust management, please reach out to your supervisor, Elliston Health and Safety, or Elliston's environmental team. Odor management. Odor management goes hand in hand with air quality because they are usually linked together. Some material on site is extremely odorous. You can usually smell a hydrocarbon coal tar odor. Odor, although it is not directly harmful to anyone, can be a good indicator on this site that there could be air quality issues such as VOCs. If you are noticing significant odor, please notify your supervisor to ensure that there are no air quality concerns associated with the smell. Elliston and its subcontractors have different mitigation that can be put in place when it comes to odor. The misters is the first level of mitigation once there is an exceedance alert. Once the misters have been deployed, if the exceedance continues to persist, then foam will be applied to the excavation. Erosion and sediment controls. Erosion and sediment control continue to be an ongoing issue, especially with the contamination on the site. Elliston and its subcontractors must ensure that erosion and sediment control measures are in good working condition. Sediment tracking onto roadways is important to keep on top of because of the high contamination we are dealing with. This is an image of when a subcontractor was doing shallow excavation. On the image, you can see from the dark soil just how contaminated it is. During the shallow excavation, the subcontractor was pulling up old pipes and oil was leaking out of them. All remains from the old refinery. In order to keep this contamination on site and not tracked elsewhere, mud mats, perimeter swales, and wheel wash stations were installed. Core log, silt socks, silt fence, and other erosion and sediment control measures can be found around site, and if there are any areas that require maintenance or replacing, it is the responsibility of the subcontractor to inform Elliston so the appropriate measures can be taken and fixed. Spill prevention. The big things with regards to spill prevention is that both Elliston and the client have put a great deal of emphasis on reporting all spills on site, regardless of their size. Ensuring spill kits are stocked and available in the work zone can prevent these incidents from happening in the first place. That's why they are requirements of the environmental protection plans. The client has requested that the reporting criteria be set out as follows. For every 0 to 10 liters, you must treat it as a minor release. Clean up and document by Elliston and the subcontractor and report it to the client on a monthly basis. For every 11 to 100 liters, you must treat it as a significant release that will be cleaned up, documented, and reported to the client immediately, so they are aware of the potential impacts to the site and the cleanup and prevention measures that were put in place so it does not happen again. Anything greater than 100 liters or any amount entering a watercourse or catch basin must be reported to Elliston, the client, MECP, TRCA, City of Toronto, and the Spills Action Center. Elliston requests that they communicate the issue to the higher authorities to ensure that everyone is on the same page and all boxes are checked off appropriately. We understand this project is held to a higher level of environmental protection, and some measures may be new to some subcontractors. If there are any issues or concerns or questions, please reach out to anyone on the list above. Gordon Reed, Site Superintendent, Paul Zizek, Environmental Superintendent, Ahmed Khalil, Assistant Site Superintendent, Andrew Smith, Environmental Project Manager, Aaron McLean, Environmental Project Manager, Hayden Bristow, Environmental Coordinator, Alexa Sylvester, Environmental Coordinator, Seamus Boris, Environmental Coordinator, Andrew Choi, Environmental Coordinator, and Jennifer Nichols, a Contamination Specialist. Thank you for watching the Environmental Site-Specific Orientation.